Hi everyone, I'm Laurel and welcome to day one of the masterclass. Stop drifting, start living on purpose. Today we're talking about the hidden cost of drift, what it actually looks like, why it can go unnoticed for years, and what those emotional, physical, and practical costs are of staying stuck. Here's the agenda. 5 things, what drift actually looks like, why it goes unnoticed for so long, the hidden costs, emotional, physical, practical, why awareness is the first step towards change, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Because for me, this whole day is about one thing, generating awareness. That is the first step towards making any change. You can't close a gap you can't see. So today we're going to see it clearly, honestly, and without any judgment. Nothing has gone wrong. You'll hear me say that more than once this week. Let's do this. I'm focused now on helping people stop drifting and start living on purpose. I built the Balance Reset, which shows you where you are now, and Balance OS, which helps you move from where you are to where you want to be. Seeing the gaps clearly, then making small, meaningful changes daily, that's the whole system. More on that later this week. But first, and I mean every word of it, you don't need another productivity hack. You don't need another planner. You don't need to push harder. Because what if the problem isn't you? What if you're not overwhelmed because you're doing too much? What if you're overwhelmed because the way you're living no longer works? Modern life makes drift easy. Constant notifications, infinite information, work that never really stops. Pressure to keep up, pressure to perform, pressure to have it all figured out. And when you stop directing your attention, the world does it for you. This experience, these 6 days, is about taking that back, not through more productivity, not through perfection, through awareness, intentionality, and conscious design. 2 ideas I want to give you names for right now because we'll use them all week. The first is what I call the tolerance trap. It's when you start tolerating things you would never have tolerated before. It's creep. Slightly less sleep, slightly longer hours, no proper breaks. Nothing you'd fight about, but each one quietly becomes acceptable and they start eating in. The second is the autopilot effect. Once you've fallen into the tolerance trap, you start running those lowered standards on autopilot. Same routine, same reaction, same pressure, and you stop noticing that something is no longer working. Live on purpose, not on autopilot. That's the whole game. And here's the line I want you to sit with. The most dangerous place to be in life isn't unhappy. It's fine. Unhappy gets your attention. Unhappy makes you move. Fine doesn't. Fine keeps everything stable and keeps everything small. Fine is the water drift lives in. That word drift is the name for all of it, and today we're exposing it. Look at this slide. Chaos, burnout, stress, spinning plates, too many demands, low energy, constant noise, distraction, self-criticism, overthinking, back pain, body tension, ADHD, overwhelm, trying to keep everything together. You're functioning, but you're not thriving. You're surviving. And that was me. That was absolutely me. The back pain was mine. The low energy was mine. And the dangerous part, I was still performing well enough that nobody noticed, including me. That's the thing about drift and high-functioning people. It hides behind competence. If you recognize yourself anywhere on this slide, you're in exactly the right place this week. So how did I get out of it? I went looking for answers, properly. I've spent the last year deep in psychology, neuroscience, habit science, and human design, and everything I found went into the balance framework and into my writing. What I want to do now is take you through 14 of those pieces fast. Each one is a doorway into how drift works and how you get out. Every single one exists as a full essay in the Balance Library, so nothing today needs to be memorized. I just want you to notice which ones land. Ready? Here we go. 1. The psychology of drift. Most people don't consciously choose a life that feels misaligned. They drift into it, one small reactive decision at a time. Your brain is designed to conserve energy, so once patterns become familiar, you move on to autopilot. Same routines, same responses, and you stop noticing when something no longer works. It can run for years until something drastic interrupts it. Burnout, or just the quiet realization that things aren't right. So it's not, how did I get here? I'm too smart for this. You fell into the autopilot effect, and there's a way out. 2. High-functioning burnout. Burnout rarely looks the way people expect. It's not a single event, it builds slowly. Too many demands, too little recovery, and your nervous system settles into constant activation. You get used to pushing through fatigue, ignoring your body's signals, delaying rest. For a while it works until it doesn't. And it hits high-functioning people hardest because we take on responsibility easily and push harder. When your identity is tied to productivity, slowing down feels threatening. But burnout isn't simply exhaustion, it's the feeling that your energy is being spent in ways that no longer reflect what matters most. That's not a work problem, that's an alignment problem. 3. The hidden cost of being fine. Fine sounds harmless. It isn't, it's a shortcut. Psychologists call it emotional compression, squashing complex feelings into one socially acceptable word. But emotions are signals. They tell you what matters, what needs attention, what needs to change. When everything becomes fine, those signals go quiet and eventually you stop hearing them. Not just the hard emotions, the good ones too. Excitement, curiosity, pride, joy, all flattened into the same neutral answer. And here's what fine really costs. Nothing feels urgent enough to change, and nothing feels meaningful enough to fully engage with. Fine keeps life stable, but it keeps it small. And sometimes fine isn't acceptance, it's hesitation disguised as stability. 4. Why you're stuck, and it's not because you're lazy. There are two fears that quietly trap intelligent, capable people: the fear of changing and the fear of staying the same. So instead of choosing, we hover, we tolerate. We drift somewhere between dissatisfaction and disruption, and living between those two fears is exhausting, believe me. Here's the theory underneath the tolerance trap. Most people don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because they lower their minimum standards. Not consciously, gradually. Slightly worse sleep, slightly more stress, work that no longer excites you, relationships that feel fine, nothing collapses dramatically, it just erodes. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards, and whatever you're willing to tolerate becomes your life. That's how high capacity people get stuck. Not laziness, adaptation. 5. Do I have to be dissatisfied to be driven? Short answer, no. And believing you do is one of the fastest ways to burn out. We've been taught that dissatisfaction is fuel, that you have to hate where you are to want more. The science says otherwise. Deficit-based drive, fueled by comparison, shame, not enough yet, works briefly and costs you anxiety and burnout. You're chasing relief, not growth. Growth-based drive, fueled by curiosity, alignment, meaning, is sustainable. You move forward not because you hate where you are, but because you like who you're becoming. 6. Comparison, a tool that can teach or take away. We are comparison machines, it's how we learn, but comparison as a compass is very different from comparison as a weapon. When you catch yourself comparing, ask, am I learning from this or losing myself in it? The healthier version, compare yourself to your past self, not to someone else's present. 7. Negative self-talk. Identify, challenge, replace. You don't have to believe every thought you think. The inner critic is a protective mechanism that's outlived its usefulness. 3 steps: identify the pattern, challenge the thought. Is it true? Would I say this to a friend? And replace it. Not toxic positivity, balanced realism. 8. The nervous system. And saying no isn't a character flaw, it's a nervous system response. Racing heart, tight stomach, words getting stuck. That's your brain reading rejection as danger. Every time you say no and survive, your system learns it's safe. Start small. Notice the discomfort. Do it anyway. 9. Handling big emotions. Big emotions aren't problems to solve, they're signals to attend to. Emotions are data. Name it to tame it. Feel it in the body. And remember the 90-second rule. The chemical lifespan of an emotion is about 90 seconds. What keeps it going is the story we add. 10. The neuroscience of suppression. Unexpressed emotions don't disappear, they store. Suppression keeps the emotion running in the background. Elevated stress hormones, inflammation, tension, pain, the body keeps the score. Which is why I say your body stores what your mind ignores. 11. The long-term physiology of emotion. Your emotional life is your physical life. Over time, the way you process or don't process your emotions shapes your body, your health, and your longevity. Drift isn't just a mindset problem, it's in your physiology. 12. ADHD and addiction. Impulsivity isn't a character flaw, it's a symptom. ADHD and addiction share a deep, often hidden connection, and understanding it can be the key to breaking patterns that have felt impossible to change. 13. Menopause and ADHD. Menopause doesn't create ADHD, but it can reveal it. For so many women, midlife unmasks a struggle that's been hidden for decades. If your coping system suddenly stopped working, nothing has gone wrong. There's an explanation and there's a way through. 14 manifestation myths. Manifestation isn't magic, it's alignment, action, and attention. Some of it is magical thinking, and some of it is grounded psychology. Knowing the difference is the difference. 14 doorways. You don't need all of them. You need the 2 or 3 that made you feel seen. And here's the thing, if you work with me, you'll be getting exercises to work on each of these areas in your 90-day challenge. 12 weeks, one system, every one of these pieces turned into practice, not just theory. This week is the map. The work is where it changes. So where does all of this go? Here's the journey, and this is the spine of everything we do this week. Life drift, life reset, life design, life systems, life alignment. Drift is where we've been today. Something feels off, but you can't name it. You're busy but not fulfilled. Days blur. You're reacting to life instead of directing it. Career crossroads, burnout, going through the motions. And look at the line at the bottom of this slide, because it's today's entire message. Recognize the drift. That awareness is the first step. You can't reset what you haven't seen. Today you've seen it. Tomorrow we find out exactly where you are. So start with you. Everything this week builds on one question. Are you living intentionally or on autopilot? And I built something that answers it, the balance reset. It takes 4 to 6 minutes. It gives you 3 things. Your life alignment stage, where you are on that journey from drift to alignment. Your balancing archetype, and which area of your life needs the most attention right now, mind, body, relationships, or purpose. Tomorrow's session is built on your result. We're going to look at your archetype and your human design profile together, how to read where you are and how you're wired to move. So the reset isn't optional homework, it's your ticket for day 2. The link is balance.ai/reset. And here's my ask, my own teaching applied to my own class. Don't file this under later. Open the link now while we're together, or the moment we finish. 4 minutes, where you are, named. That's the whole ask today. There's nothing to buy, nothing else to click. Balance, II/reset. Take the reset. Then tonight, 3 questions. Journal them, voice note them, think them on a walk. These feed straight into tomorrow. Where in your life do you feel most disconnected? What have you been tolerating for too long? And the big one, what is the cost of doing nothing? Because that's the hidden cost of drift. It's not what's going wrong, it's what it's quietly costing you to stay fine. A few things to carry with you until tomorrow. Focus. You get what you think about, whether you like it or not. When you stop directing your attention, the world directs it for you. This week, you take it back. Your day creates your life, not the 5-year plan, the day. Today counted, because today you saw clearly. Anything worth having takes focus. Your body stores what your mind ignores. Joy is not a mood, it's a strategy. Positivity isn't pretending, it's choosing. Small daily habits, massive compounding returns. Live on purpose, not on autopilot. I'm Laurel. This is balance, clarity, progress, flow. Tomorrow, your balance archetype and your human design, understanding yourself before we recalibrate anything. Take the reset before then. Balance.ii/reset. See you tomorrow.